Have you ever looked back and asked yourself,
why didn't I see it?
How could I not realize I was being abused?
They didn't scream, they didn't hit you, they smiled. They said they loved you, in tears, in poetry, in promises. But somehow you were the one who kept apologizing, not for doing something wrong, but for existing. That's how it starts. Because the most dangerous abusers don't strike first. They script, they build a world around you, one that looks like safety, feels like intimacy, smells like fate. Just like the Truman Show, everything was built to look real until you noticed the sky was painted. You didn't fall in love, you fell into character. And when you tried to improvise, they cut the scene. If you've ever questioned whether you were being abused, not because of bruises, but because of confusion, this video is going to hit hard. Stay, because the script you were trapped in, we're about to tear it up. It was cinematic, the way they looked at you, the way they listened like no one ever had. It felt like being discovered. They remembered the tiniest details, mirrored your expressions, finished your sentences, quoted your favorite lyrics like fate was humming in harmony. You thought,
Finally, someone who sees me.
but what felt like intimacy was actually audition. You were being studied, not loved. And just like Truman walking through his picture-perfect town, you believed it was finally safety, but the smiles scripted, the warmth staged, the love allure fact. Love bombing isn't love, it's surveillance in disguise. You weren't naive. Your affirmation. You were targeted, you were soft, open and ready, and that's exactly what they needed. Remember when the light fell from the sky in the Truman Show, that moment when reality cracked just a little? You had your own version, a sarcastic jab that hit too deep, a long silence after you shared something vulnerable, a shift in their voice that made your stomach drop, but they smiled after, told you they were tired, that you were too sensitive, and like Truman, you ignored the crack in the sky. Fact, when the illusion is warm, you'll ignore the storm, your affirmation. You weren't blind, you were trained to explain away the pain. You learned to question your senses before you questioned them. You started adjusting, tiptoeing, editing yourself. Not to be better, but to be less triggering. Every time you said,
That hurt me.
but they said.
You're imagining things as always.
Every time you asked a question, they said.
You always twist my words, don't you?
And so you twisted yourself instead. Gaslighting isn't about lies, it's about erasing your reality. So theirs becomes the only one that exists. Just like the producers rerouted Truman anytime he got close to the truth, they rerouted you with shame. Question for you. Have you ever started doubting things you know happened? That's not forgetfulness, that's manipulation. Your affirmation? You weren't dramatic. You were disoriented on purpose. They needed you confused because clarity would cost them control. Why didn't you leave? Because the set was comfortable, familiar, predictable. And when they hurt you, they cried. So you stayed because you're kind. Because you believe in second chances. Because their sadness looked like proof that they cared. But their sadness wasn't sorrow, it was strategy. Fact, the people who hurt you the most were often the ones who knew exactly how to pull you back. Your affirmation. You didn't stay because you were weak, you stayed because you were hopeful, because you believe broken people deserve love, and you forgot that you were one of them too. This is where things repeat, idealize, devalue, discard, hoover, pull you in, break you down, push you out, pull you back. You thought love was just hard. They told you all couples fight, that you're dramatic, that you overreact. But what you were stuck in was a cycle, and every loop made you smaller. If you haven't watched my last chapter about narcissistic abuse cycle yet, check out Narcissism 101, the Narcissist Cycle Explained, from perfect to poison plus show you must watch. I use You from Netflix to help you understand what the cycle is, how it makes you feel right and wrong at the same time, and why you're so stuck in it. Let's watch it after this. Fact, abuse isn't always a slap, it's a script you're forced to perform in. Your affirmation. You didn't miss the signs, you were inside them. And when you're inside the frame, you can't see the picture. Like Truman's radio skipping, the extras walking by in loops. You started noticing too, a friend who gently asked,
Are you okay?
Yeah, a strange tension before they entered the room, that sense of walking on eggshells just to keep the peace. But the illusion was still warmer than the cold unknown, so you stayed. Question for you, have you ever silenced your gut just to keep someone close? Your affirmation, you didn't ignore the clues, you were surviving inside them. And survival sometimes looks like silence. Truman eventually sails to the edge of his world, hits a wall painted like the sky, finds a door. You did too. Maybe it was the last lie. Maybe it was the moment they humiliated you in front of others. Maybe it was the night you sat in your car and screamed with no sound. Whatever it was, it cracked the set. And you wanted out, even if reality hurt, even if truth meant grief. Question for you, what was your light falling from the sky moment? Drop it in the comments. Your story might become someone else's exit. Your affirmation. You didn't give up, you woke up. Truman steps out, no clapping, no confetti, no validation, just silence. You left too, and maybe you cried? Maybe you doubted? Maybe you missed them, even though they broke you. That's not weakness, that's withdrawal. You were detoxing from a person who made you addicted to their approval. Your affirmation, healing isn't pretty, it's lonely, quiet, tender. But real life, real love, doesn't require acting. Truman pauses before he walks out. One last glance, one last ache. You will too, maybe late at night, maybe when a new person is too kind to you and you feel bored, maybe when you hear a song that reminds you of the fake paradise you once lived in. Fact, missing them doesn't mean you should return. It means you're remembering the version they sold you. Your affirmation. You're not broken for longing. You're healing. And healing always looks backwards before it moves forward. Heart riser, you didn't realize it was abuse because it was wrapped in a smile. But now, you know the difference. You know that love doesn't make you shrink, that peace shouldn't be earned, that you don't need to audition for safety. Yes, they built the set. They wrote the script, they cast the scene. But now, you call the cuts. You direct your next chapter, you walk out, and this time, no one gets to rewrite your truth. Drop a comment. What was the first red flag that finally made sense after you left? Subscribe to watch my next chapter. 13 red flags in narcissistic relationships you didn't see coming. Because now you see the cracks before the collapse, and if this spoke to something deep in you, something you haven't been able to name until now, like this video, not for me, but to remind the algorithm that these truths matter. Subscribe, not just to stay connected, but so you never have to unlearn alone again. This is from heart to success, and your healing is no longer off script. In case no one told you today, heart riser, but I want you to know you're not broken, you're healing, and you are worthy of the love you've always given to others.